Welcome to Combat Recapped. Alexsandro Pereira was born in Brazil on July 7, 1987. He is a mixed martial artist and used to be a kickboxer. He is signed with the UFC right now. He used to be the kickboxing champion for the middleweight and light heavyweight divisions of Glory. He also fought in events like its Showtime and the SUPERKOMBAT Fighting Championship. Pereira grew up in a Brazilian slum called a favela. He quit middle school when he was 12 and went to work in a tire shop. He became an alcoholic because his coworkers got him to start drinking. To get him over his drug problem, he began training in kickboxing in 2009. In March 2014, in Zagreb, Croatia, he won the Glory 14 Zagreb Middleweight Contender Tournament. In the semifinals, in the first round, he knocked out Dustin Jacoby. He beat Sahak Parparyan in the final by getting more votes than him. During the airing of Glory 15 Istanbul, it was said that Pereira would be one of the 8 fighters in Glory 17 Los Angeles, last man standing in the United States, in June 2014. There was a standing middleweight tournament in Inglewood, California. In the quarterfinals, Artem Levin beat him by a unanimous decision. Levin went on to win the whole thing. Pereira won 4 of his next 5 fights, and the only one he lost was to Artur Kravchenko, who was the best fighter in his weight class. During this stretch, Pereira won the fights that made him famous. He beat the future UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya twice, once with a unanimous decision and once with a counter-left knockout. At Glory 46 China, Pereira won the Glory middleweight title by a unanimous decision over Simon Marcus. At the Glory 40 and Glory 49 Superfight Series, Pereira met Yosri Belgori. In 2018, they fought again at the Glory 55 middleweight title match in New York's Madison Square Garden. Belgori was knocked out by an overhand right. It was Pereira's 28th win of his career and his 6th in the Glory ring. In November 2018, Pereira said that when his contract with Glory ends in April 2019, he would try to make a living in mixed martial arts. In the end, Pereira re-signed with Glory, which allowed him to fight in both MMA and Glory. After defending his Glory middleweight title 4 times in a row and winning each time against Yosri Belgori, Simon Marcus, and Jason Wilness, Pereira moved up to fight Donagi Abena for the interim Glory Light Heavyweight Championship at Glory 68. Pereira won by knockout in the 3rd round. He was the first person in Glory history to win 2 titles. Pereira chose to fight Ertugrul Bayrak at Glory Collision 2 in December 2019 to defend his middleweight title. This was after he won the Light Heavyweight Championship. He won most of the first round, and at the end of the round, he knocked out his opponent to win the fight. For the Glory Light Heavyweight title, Pereira was going to fight Artem Vakitov at Glory 77. Pereira won by a split decision, which made him the first person in Glory history to hold 2 belts at the same time. At Glory 78 Rotterdam, Pereira fought Artem Vakitov again, which was the first time he had to defend his light heavyweight title. The second fight was decided by a majority vote. In the 4th round, Pereira lost a point because he kept clinching, which many people thought was a bad call by the referee. Pereira lost the fight. In 2015, Pereira switched from kickboxing to mixed martial arts. In his first fight, he was submitted and lost. Pereira said he had signed a contract to fight Diego Henrique da Silva in August 2018 in the Brazilian version of Dana White's Contender Series. He had just won 2 fights in a row. But Glory wouldn't let Pereira fight, so the fight didn't happen. In October 2020, it was reported that Pereira had signed a contract with Legacy Fighting Alliance. In his first fight for Legacy Fighting Alliance, which was in November 2020, he fought Thomas Powell and won in the first round via KO. In September 2021, Pereira joined the UFC. On November 6, 2021, at UFC 268, he fought Andreas Michailidis for the first time. He won the fight by TKO in the 2nd round. Bruno Silva and Pereira fought at UFC Fight Night 203 in March 2022, and he won the fight. Pereira was supposed to fight Sean Strickland at UFC 277 in July 2022. But the organizers of the event decided that the fight would take place at UFC 276 in July 2022. Pereira defeated Strickland in the first round via KO and won the Performance of the Night Award and the 3rd place Crypto.com Fan Bonus of the Night Award, which gave him $10,000 in Bitcoin. Now let's take an overview of Alexsandro Pereira's fight against Israel Adesanya for the third time. Pereira is set to fight Israel Adesanya for the UFC Middleweight Championship at UFC 281 in November 2022. Israel Adesanya, who is the UFC Middleweight Champion, will defend his title against one of the sport's fastest rising stars. The event will take place at New York's Madison Square Garden. In his tweet, Adesanya talked about how he had lost to Pereira twice before. "They're part of history, part of my story. The judges gave him the nod in the first, and the second he took me out in the third round. Now it's time for my story." After UFC 276, where Adesanya beat Jared Cannonier by unanimous decision and Pereira knocked out Sean Strickland in the first round, the title fight between Adesanya and Pereira was set in stone. "When you're sitting here in my position, you can't give too many guarantees," UFC President Dana White said after UFC 276. "I can say, stylistically on paper, this should be, or we feel this is gonna be. I fucking guarantee you, I absolutely positively guarantee you that the next fight that Israel Adesanya fights will be batshit nuts." Pereira has 2 wins over Adesanya in the sport of kickboxing. The first was in April 2016, when Adesanya lost by unanimous decision to Pereira. The second was in March 2017, when Pereira used his signature left hook to knock out Adesanya. Adesanya is 23-1 in mixed martial arts. Jan Blachowicz beat him at UFC 259 in March 2021, which was his only loss. He fought Rob Wilkinson in his first UFC match in February 2018. Adesanya has successfully defended his title 5 times. If he wins against Pereira, he will tie Anderson Silva for the longest winning streak in the history of the division with 13 wins. Pereira has a record of 6-1 and has won 3 times in the UFC. He has won against Bruno Silva, Andreas Michailidis, and Sean Strickland. Considering that Alex Pereira has defeated Israel Adesanya twice before, do you think he can still win again? Or do you think this will be a reason for Adesanya to take revenge on Pereira? Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe to Combat Recap and hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. Thanks for watching Combat Recap. See you in the next video.